welcome back. It's always an honor when we have time to sit down with somebody that I have high regard for, and I call him a frontline warrior, and that is the Reverend Jim Harden. He is the CEO of the pro-life medical network known as CompassCare in New York. That's also his website, compasscare.info. He has these, pregnancy centers throughout the state, and he's actually got cases before the court as it relates to him being firebombed. And they seem to be ongoing and been politicized. But he hangs in there, and he's doing a great job. So, Pastor Harden, good to see you again, friend. How are you, buddy?
Perry, thanks for having me back. I'm doing well.
Good. All right. Since the last time you and I talked, what has developed in your case?
Well, we've got multiple cases that we've been pursuing for the organizations that I run here in New York. The weaponization of the legal system by New York State Attorney General Letitia James is what we're working on now. There's been movement in one of our cases. I'm sitting right now in Monroe County, which is home to Rochester, New York, and we've got operations all across New York, Brooklyn, the Bronx, Staten Island is opening, etc. But Letitia James is trying to shut us down, and she's been trying to shut us down since we were firebombed. She even took on the language of this pro-abortion Antifa terrorist group calling themselves Jane's Revenge. They say that we're misleading women, that we're lying to women, that we're forcing women to become, slaves, permanent socioeconomic underclasses by forcing them to have their baby. All these lies and propaganda have been embraced by the Attorney General of New York. And she's saying that we're committing some sort of business fraud by simply telling women the truth that chemical abortion, which now represents 60% of all abortions in America, is dangerous. It causes sepsis, hemorrhaging, and death. And we just, a recent study came out saying that women who start the chemical abortion process, 1 in 10 end up in the emergency room. RFK Jr. at HHS is asking the team to study at the FDA the safety of the dangerous drug. We've got 16 studies, medical journal studies, that demonstrate how dangerous it is to women. We simply tell women the truth. She says that we're committing fraud and essentially lying to them, misleading women by telling them the truth, and he wants to shut down our emergency progesterone therapy. So if women change their mind, for example, and want to go back and reverse the effects of the chemical abortion that they started, she wants to force them to continue their abortion. We can actually reverse the effects of that drug through simple progesterone therapy. And she appealed to the judge in Monroe County because she basically sent us a letter saying, "Hey, look, tell me, you got 5 days to tell me why I shouldn't sue you for business fraud," basically. And so we filed suit against her first because she's essentially violating our First Amendment rights of freedom of speech and freedom of religion, for that matter. And she filed another suit against us in Manhattan. We do not have operations in Manhattan, Perry. There's no reason for us to this is the same kangaroo court that had biased judges that were somehow able to convict Donald Trump of 34 counts of a crime that does not exist in law. She's doing the same thing against us. She's basically saying, look, you're violating a crime. You're violating a law that does not exist. And so we're saying, look, what she's doing is illegal. But she can somehow convince the panel of judges to relocate the case that we filed here in Monroe County to Manhattan. She's basically, this is bald-faced judge shopping from our perspective. And this case needs to be totally dropped. She is abusing the justice system. She's weaponizing the justice system against peaceful pro-life people. We've got Donald Trump himself coming out today with Pam Bondi at the Religious Liberty Commission at the I want to say they were meeting at the Museum of the Bible in Washington, D.C., basically saying, look, the Biden administration weaponized all kinds of federal agencies against religious liberty, specifically against Christians. And that includes pro-life training centers that operate because of what we believe. We believe that, I've said this before, I'll say it again, that we are endowed by our Creator, not our government, with certain unalienable rights. Governor Tim Kaine out of Virginia just last week said that, it's disturbing to think that people believe that our rights come from anything other than anything other than government. Wow. Our rights come from God, and so the basic right that all our rights are predicated upon is the right to life. So that's all we're saying. That's why we do what we do, and we're pushing back on Letitia James. And by the way, I'm grateful to see Ed Martin Jr., who is the anti-weaponization czar under Pam Bondi, going out against Letitia James as well. He's basically saying Letitia James needs to resign. I've been asking for Letitia James to be impeached. I've been asking for her to be investigated, indicted, imprisoned. What she is doing is a violation of ironically, the was it the third KKK law of 1871? This is specifically using the power of one's elected position to conspire to violate the constitutional rights of a person or a group of persons, and that is right now the constitutional rights of freedom of speech and freedom of religion of pro-life people. This is a violation of federal law. Say nothing of the fraud that she is being a 40-year pattern of fraud that Ed Martin is accusing her of. Mm-hmm. This is a really important moment in the history of the rule of law, the constitutional rule of law in America.
Wow, there's a lot there, Pastor. Let me ask you this: by the change of venue, and given the fact that she's under such an amazing investigation herself, does the change of venue become obvious in the case?
I think it does. I think it's pretty obvious. I mean, look, the change of venue. First of all, we filed a case against her first for essentially slapping us. A SLAPP is an acronym for strategic lawsuit against public participation. We're saying that she filed a lawsuit specifically to keep us from saying things she doesn't want us to say, from doing things she doesn't want us to do. She wants to keep us out of the public square. And we filed that suit in Monroe County. She filed a suit against us in Manhattan. Our judge put both cases together and said, I'll hear them here in Monroe County. She's shopping for her favorite judges in Manhattan. There's no reason for it. So we've got first right of filing, which basically the precedent is that you need to hear the case where it was first filed. And you've got to file it in a place where the defendants are. That's where we are in Monroe County right now. So, the judges, I think this panel of judges are ignoring the facts as they are, that we're likely to win on the merits. They're ignoring the facts that we filed first. They're ignoring the fact that we don't have operations in Manhattan, but they still want to hear it in Manhattan, the abortion capital of the nation. Isn't that ironic? 60%. So Danco Laboratories is headquartered in Manhattan. They're responsible for bringing chemical abortion to the United States. That represents 63% of all abortions every year. I mean, this is terrible.
Just to make clear, when you say chemical abortion, we're talking about the pill here, right? That's now being distributed throughout the mail. Good news out of Texas, but nonetheless, most of the country is still getting it via mail. Is that correct?
That's correct. And a lot of it's coming out of New York, including Margaret Carpenter, who's been sued. This is the chemical abortion doctor who's illegally sending these drugs from New York to Texas, to Louisiana, places like that. And so Ken Paxton out of Texas is saying, look, we're asking for our laws to be recognized. And by the way, these doctors that are illegally sending these drugs across state lines, it's in violation of the Comstock Act. This is a federal violation, and I think they should be charged with racketeering as well, conspiring with other people like New York Governor Kathy Hochul for engaging in crimes to protect, essentially shield these doctors from criminal prosecution.
Do you think other pro-life organizations understand across the country, Pastor, the struggle that you're in? Because if this is heard and they win and you lose, this is catastrophic to the industry across the country, isn't it?
Oh, it's definitely catastrophic. I mean, it's not just it doesn't just shut down our ability to serve women that have changed their mind. It is basically a shot across the bow of First Amendment rights to freedom of speech. But we cannot be forced to carry the water of the propaganda of politicians that are in charge of the Democrat Party. And as soon as they're able to do that, it's over for the First Amendment. And that includes freedom of religion as well, because why we say what we say is based on truth and science, but it's also based on what we believe about what it means to be human under God. And abortion represents a fundamental misunderstanding about what it means to be human.
Do you have a higher appeal?
Oh, yes. This is a big case. we think that this case will likely fought tooth and nail by New York. New York is, along with California, kind of the leaders of the abortion industry. They protect and promote and provide and pay for the abortion industry because it's a multi-billion-dollar international complex. It's these politicians elected and reelected. So this case will likely be heard on appeal. There's a kind of a copycat case by Rob Bonta, the Attorney General in California, against pregnancy centers too. They'll likely be combined. The Second Circuit will probably hear it in New York. The Ninth Circuit will hear it in California. There may be some conflicting things, and the Supreme Court ultimately will have to step in. We hope it proceeds quickly, though, so that we can get on with things. But they're tying up all kinds of resources. And by the way, win or lose, this is a lose for the taxpayer. I mean, the taxpayer is ultimately going to have to pay for this, even if we win, because we're both in California and in New York. No, the two biggest economies in America, with the two biggest attorney general's offices in America, are pushing back on Christian pro-lifers. That should be very disconcerting to Christians across this country.
Wow. Thank you, Pastor, for your time. I just wanted to get the update. Let me say to our viewers and listeners a couple of things. Certainly keep Pastor Harden and his team and his organization, CompassCare, in your prayers. Go to CompassCare.info. There's a picture of the landing page. Support him. He's standing up. And at the end of the day, he's standing up for you and your state as well. So check it out, CompassCare.info. Thank you, my friend. Good to see you. Thoughts and prayers go with you, buddy.
Thank you very much. God bless.
You too.